It's so easy to make fun of the angel healings, chakra crystals, and all this colorful, low-class packaging. I used to make fun of it and put myself above it, saying it's all bullshit, it's all stupid. But now, I sincerely love New Age stuff. Maybe you can, too. The term New Age got its foothold in the 70s, but the roots go much deeper. It happened in the late 1800s as the world got more and more connected. Through commercial interests, technological breakthroughs, and a worldview that was necessary, the British Empire and a few other European countries conquered and controlled all the corners of the world. This, of course, had a lot of horrible consequences. Religiously, they focused their energy on converting the so-called less developed into their own enlightened Christianity. However, when the ship sailed back to England, so did ideas. The British in India, while not there to listen, sometimes and after a long time became interested in Sanskrit, yoga, and the history of the Indian subcontinent. Stories of supernatural yogis, hidden wise teachers in the mountains, and the strange creation myths of the Hindus, as they were called, came back through the empire's veins. Distorted, cherry-picked, mistranslated, but underneath it all, it was this sense of divine truth. While this influx of spiritual ideas was happening globally, there was another force at work. In the Western countries, the crushing movement of industry moved families from the farm life of the countryside into the cities of ash and coal. We lost touch with our intuitive, natural connection to the rhythms of nature and myth and magic that had always lived side by side with farmers, even when there was a church to go to on Sundays. Now, these families who were living in the cities and trying to adjust, but the tightly pressured air of spirit could not be contained. A small rebellion was taking place across dinner tables, late at night, in the western cities of the late 1800s. Families and friends gathered with so-called spirit guides, charlatans or not, to hear the ghosts of their dead speak through the veil. May have started with the writings of a Swedish guy, but it was when the news broke of a group of sisters in New York who could talk to the dead, this became a phenomenon. So we have as a silver lining to the civilization of the world two things: the inflow and melting pot of global religious ideas for the first time, and the realm of spirit breaking through in the fast-growing, tram-covered, newly formed cities around dinner tables everywhere. This is where New Age spirituality is born. It is the last decades of the 1800s, and a group of rich eccentrics starts writing books and create societies that don't have a large following per se today, but whose ideas still very much live on. The most visually striking image of New Age spirituality today is not a picture of solemn dinner tables or an academic trying to understand some Tibetan folk religion. I would argue that visually it's easier to spot in the party cultures of Tulum, of Bali, Ibiza, of Burning Man, a Silicon Valley spirituality, if I may. Crystals and yoga and shamanic hats worn first as a joke, then kind of seriously. Astrology apps being valued at millions of dollars. Colorful, sparkling, joyful, and completely without any structure. The New Age is kind of like our stepchild as a culture. We don't know really what to do with it. And honestly, I think we don't know what it means. It is just pushing through the culture harder and harder as we try to push anything related to the world of spirit down and down with our metallic liners and abstract spreadsheets. Because the only place of truth are the spreadsheets. Jung would say, New Age is a product of our unfulfilled wishes, of our collective shadow, light as it may be, of everything we don't bring to the surface ourselves. My take, as you might have guessed by now, is that we should do exactly that. Let's put New Age on the table. Let's take a proper look at it. What is it? Is it worth our time and energy? This is a quote from Madame Blavatsky, one of these rich eccentrics, founder of Theosophy. This is one of the books she wrote that's like started this whole thing. The aim of this work may be thus stated: to show that nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, and to assign to man his rightful place in the scheme of the universe, to rescue from degradation the archaic truths which are the basis of all religions, and to uncover to some extent the fundamental unity from which they all spring. Finally, to show that the occult side of nature has never been approached by the science of modern civilization. It is the combined wisdom of the ages, the religio philosophia of the world, which is here presented. It is the thread of light which runs through the labyrinth of the world's religions, showing that the spirit of truth is one, though its voices are many. Have you heard about this thing that they do at carnivals where they make people guess the weight of a pig? And whoever guesses right gets some kind of prize. Maybe the pig itself, I don't know. What's interesting about this is that when you take the average number of these guesses, it is the correct weight. Which means the combined wisdom of all is correct, even if we're off by this and that much on our own. So, what if we combined all the wisdom of all the world's religions and kind of see what sticks or what stands out? That's New Age. It feels like the natural product of people for the first time hearing about all these religions of all the corners of the world and just intuitively hearing which ideas stand out the most or the themes that we can sense through the combination of them. What major chords resonate, if you will. No one ever sat down in the New Age movement and had like a meeting and decided, hey, here's what we'll do. We'll do reincarnation, we'll do Akashic records, we'll do energy centers, we'll do... I mean, the first authors did try, and they had their official clubs like Theosophy and Anthroposophy, but the New Age spirituality movement grew larger than that and became more unruly. And all this happened organically. It's been happening for 150 years. I trust that process, the collective weighing of the pig, way more than I trust church meetings deciding for us in their towers what the actual, true, real meaning of God is. There is truth in the wisdom of all people combined, and the New Age, year by year, sifting through these millions of people, is slowly getting closer and closer to that truth. As far as I know, none of the big religions has anything called the Akashic records in their mainline theology, but the New Age has. Does something about it ring true to you? That there would be this sort of cosmic astral archive of all that ever was and all that will ever be? Maybe. You can try this. Without being too specific, imagine an image that symbolizes all the wisdom of all the people of the world. Don't give it a name, just imagine some vague shape. Now, imagine that vague shape slowly being sort of pushed into reality as a movement over a long period of time. That could be kind of what's going on here. It's like this large scale construction of truth, dharma, logos, but not tied to a specific culture. Secondly, in the Western modern world, we're kind of stuck in a hard place when it comes to religion in general. We can't sign up for any of them because they all have this rigid and culturally tied authority that's kind of impossible for us, because we can believe in something divine, but we can't believe in a church that, generally speaking, has been pretty off on values throughout the centuries. And, more importantly, every single time someone becomes some kind of authority in the realm of spirituality, well, we know what happens. We can also see on the other end that having no connection to spirits puts us in depression and anxiety and abusing alcohol or screens or whatever else to numb the pain of trying to live in this indifferent, cold universe of scientific materialism. The New Age, on the other hand, is free from authority. There are no kings and queens of the New Age. And if you see someone that looks like that, odds are you're not going to be very inspired, because they've mainly taken on the robe of a priest and not the responsibilities or the priorities. And we have the intuition to discern that. Because of this, that there is no real club you can join, that everyone is an equal participant in the weighing of this spiritual pig. I'm sorry to stick with that metaphor. Everyone's voice is equal. I don't think that's a benefit. I think it's critical and necessary for our times to have a spirituality that ennobles everyone to the same level. There is no single book, there is no single teacher, there is no single club. It's us trying to figure it out. We can have hierarchies and other things. I'd rather learn jiu-jitsu from a black belt than a white belt, but within the unknown realms, a child can be as wise as any adult, and a person who's never read any difficult books can know as much as a quote-unquote guru. The founder of anthroposophy, Rudolf Steiner, said this: "He does not need a commander to tell him what to do. He needs the light of knowledge to see what is required. In the realm of spirits, every soul is its own lawgiver. We no longer seek the divine in the heights of the clouds or the depths of the past, but as a living, creative force within our own thinking." That's it. No authority, unfortunately, also means we have to go through a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of, there really is a lot of stuff in the New Age movement that's not worth the time. So you will have to be your own guru and your own light, relying on your intuition, discernment, inner wisdom to navigate these pretty dense forests of ideas. Maybe that's a drawback, but maybe it's a good thing. Third, it used to be the case that we sat around the fire after a day of hunting and child rearing and picking berries and listened to the songs of our ancestors under the stars. We saw myth as truth. In the modern age, we grow up laughing at myth. Do you really believe that something that can't be proven can be real? Do you really believe something that's a fairy tale? So we have collectively mistaken the effectiveness of the analytical rational mind, as it is highly successful in building bridges and stuff, that it should be used in all of life's arenas. We try to use algorithms for finding love, and we get frustrated when it's not working. And this mistake is building a society where a lot of people have to be on medication just to get by, and where we're kind of destroying the planet that we grow out of. The New Age, on the other hand, doesn't concern itself with the scientific method of reasoning. It is wiser than that. New Age is clearly treating spirituality as an art form. If I can recommend anything, it is to try to adopt this lens. Spiritual exploration as an art form. Seeing these questions or this line of exploration as an art rather than a science will be not only much more fun and more creatively rewarding, but it also, so to say, gets you there. The New Age is not concerned with arguing with an atheist with his arms crossed. The New Age is dancing, vibration, thoughts, myth, pictures, music, words, crystals, feeling, intuition. In trying to interpret a tarot card, you won't get far by finding the correct answer somewhere. You get it with using your inner senses and trusting your own interpretation of the symbols. The New Age is kind of using all these various methods, tarot cards being one, dancing, healing, crystals. The New Age movement has the wisdom to see that all of those are just interfaces to talk about what we cannot talk about. You will never be able to get success by trying to prove the effectiveness of any of these scientifically, because they rely on the unseen and the sort of complete holistic situation, which science always reduces. So, the combined wisdom of the world in a non-authoritarian culture, where you see creativity and the intuitive sense, the mythological lens to approaching spirituality, that's New Age. It's not such a bad thing anymore. Now, for the final and maybe most critical point, the New Age. What is that? Which age? What age are they talking about? Look at the cards. Look at the colorful packaging. Look at the archetypes embodied at these festivals in the forest with the blinking lights. What's it pointing towards? What new age are they ushering in? It has something to do with nature. It has something to do with connection. It has, indeed, something to do with magic. It has to do with reincarnational dramas, with dreams, with healing. The New Age, as the name implies, is one of the few collective utopias we have left. We have personal utopias. I want this house or that job or a certain romantic situation. But collectively, we brace ourselves for the future. We don't long for it. I might get my beautiful house, but it will be in a world that's on fire. And this, the New Age movement brings. Hope. A vision. In the colorful packaging, there is no factory. There is no conquering of nature or animals or each other. Beauty is not pushed down in favor of what we call growth. It points to what world is possible, beyond the industrial construction site, bound by rules and the frazzled, anxious mind trying to survive in it, where we can see that even if a certain number go up, it doesn't mean things get any better. We could argue that these pictures that New Age paints is just fantasy. But isn't everything fantasy first, before it becomes reality? Well, someone else is now painting a picture of our future. And personally, this is my taste, I don't like it. The New Age is based on wisdom, not analysis, on the realization of our interconnectedness, and even of our connection to the higher realms. Angels are as certain as the assembly line, and even more helpful, so to say. I believe even if you don't, so to say, vibe with the picture the New Age movement is painting, that there is a critical need for a positive, collective vision for a New Age. We can all feel it right now. The other people who are painting that picture, they are not doing it for our sakes. So, even if you still can't stomach the idea of that naive, childish forest covered with castles and princes and wands, please paint a picture of our joint future as you want it, because we need people to show the way. I, personally, I'd be happy with that fantasy on the tarot cards, even with its messiness, with its naivete, with its lack of productivity and technological improvements. I think it's an inspiring path to walk on together. If we just dare to believe that a future that good is possible. Do you?